ukufa into endandiyijongile ngoku ndandibona manyani ngoku ndiyafa qha ndifa ndingenzanga nto fe ndingayolelanga noyolela ekhaya kwaye kukufa endandijonge naye bona uba ndifela imali.
Kotani mawethu, this is Mii Kasi Su Kasii on the ACWS network. Igama lami nguNtsika Siwakhile Mayikiso, and this is where the cultural truth meets Kasi voices. The pain of Marikana isn't archived in some distant past. It is a wound that breathes through the children that are left behind, the widows that are still waiting, and the country that is trying somehow to still justify the recurrence of political violence against the ordinary citizens to itself. But before we jump into that, I'd like to urge everybody that's watching today to please like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends about this, share this episode, and please tell us where you're watching this from.
Deputy President's hands has got blood, a lot of blood of 34 innocent
Honorable
mine workers.
Malema, please withdraw that.
I'm not going to do that. The Deputy President killed the people in Marikana.
Honorable
In
Malema.
2012, when miners knelt on that copy, it wasn't about wages. It was a prayer for dignity. But what did they get in return? A military-grade response from the state that they had helped build.
The life of a black person in Africa is so cheap. Bayozibulala, basigqibe, baphinde futhi bathole abanye, babafake, bababhadale le mivuzo engenzi into empilweni zomuntu omnyama. Okungukuthi siyobe sihlulekile, kodwa amakapitali yoba yiwona winayo. Kodwa sinendlela esenikhombisa yona ukuthi na indlela kufanele kuhanjwe ngayo. Siyaqala-ke bafowethu, odadewethu, bodada, ndiyaguqa ngedolo, ndiza kuni ngingento yalutho. Ndithi masivikele leli gazi, i-NUM esavumele nomqashi ukuba maliphalale. Asifuni igazi elizophalala, kodwa sifuna izinkinga zenu nemivuzo yenu mayitholakale, comrade.
They came carrying nothing but a vision, a dream. Nothing but their voices that were coarse from chanting, lungs still heavy from the dust. Their boots had cracked the dry northwest earth for years. Men from the Lesotho, Eastern Cape, Mozambique, and the Free State, all drawn here by a promise of a better life. But in August of 2012, that changed.
The SAPS did all in its power to avert a situation such as this. And the police members had to employ force to protect themselves from the charging group. This is no time for blaming. This is no time for finger pointing. It is a time for us to mourn the sad and dark moment we experience as a country.
This is Mii Kasi Su Kasii, and as I've said before, we aim to interrogate the truth, interrogate the history and what we've been taught about it. Today, we return to Marikana, not to romanticize, not to sanitize, but to understand what really happened building up to that fatal day, and why is it that after the rifles cooled, that many ducked responsibility, the world moved on, however their families could not. Lonmin, a platinum mining giant nestled in Marikana, Rustenburg, is the lifeline of thousands of workers, but that lifeline came at a cost. 4,000 rand a month for back-breaking labor, squalid living conditions, and broken promises of a housing development. In early August 2012, rock drill operators went on a wildcat strike, demanding a raise to 12,500. No union led them, no formal referendum or memorandum that came from them, just voices, raw, defiant, and united. This did not happen spontaneously though. The strike had escalated over days. 10 lives had already been claimed by the day that it occurred.
Good morning, it's Friday 10th of August 2012. allegedly illegal gathering by rock drill operators.
It's 6 days before the massacre. The mining company, Lonmin, is filming the miners as they gather outside the mine. A Lonmin security guard reports everything he sees.
Group allegedly wants to march to the LPD building to speak to management with regards to salary and certain packages. Awaiting SAPs and backup to see if we can stop the crowd. Also awaiting feedback from senior management with regards to, will we let the crowd to march to LPD or will we try to stop the crowd?
A crowd of rock drillers meet and march to the Lonmin management office. They believe the official majority union, the National Union of Mine Workers, are in the pockets of management, and so they've decided to take matters into their own hands. They are joined by workers from a competing union.
Complain ngemali yama-LTO encane 84,000. Sathi at least make simuvisele imali ngoba umsebenzi sobenzayo ukopha later. Kodwa ke okubalulekileyo siyamazi umqeshi akaziba nayo le mali straight. Enye nenye nayo sobonisana nayo because sinemali encane kakhulu. Sabe sinenjongo uba at least bifikile ku-7,000.
At this point enters the National Police Commissioner, Ria Piecha, and a provincial counterpart, Uzikiswa. Their presence wasn't casual. It was calculated. From the highest officers came pressure. Resolve this and resolve it fast. Now, the ordinary South African like you and I will wonder, who can put this pressure on National Police Commissioner Ria Piecha and her provincial counterpart, Uzikiswa, as to resolve this quick and with force, as to shut down any more or any further action from the miners. If you look at the history in South Africa of mining, it's always been one that has been filled with violence.
As a popular former head of the National Union of Mine Workers, Cyril Ramaphosa was considered Mandela's spiritual heir.
Determination of our members to fight for a living wage.
He was at Mandela's side on his release from jail. Now lawyers want Ramaphosa charged. At the time of the massacre, Ramaphosa no longer represented the miners, but was on the side of the mine owners. He was on the board of Lonmin, the company that owns the Marikana site. The commission has seen emails sent by Ramaphosa which shows he used his connections to lobby government ministers to take action against the miners. In one, he described the strike as a criminal act, explains the president will be briefed, and the police minister encouraged to act in a more pointed way.
I would like to throw a conspiracy into the works. I know many do not see Utatu Cyril Ramaphosa as a big player, but even before becoming the president of the ANC, he was very robust. He held a non-executive role on the committee of Lonmin about 40 years after he had been the president of INUM, which is the National Union of Miners. Now, it doesn't happen often that somebody goes across the board, as they say. What happens when a political figure, which is meant to be working for a people, disperses from that and crosses the board towards business, merging interests that shouldn't be merged, I believe leads to situations like this.
There must be prosecutions, there must be compensation, and more importantly, there must be an exposition of who the real culprits are, outside of the people who pulled the trigger, as it were.
Main target is the National Police Commissioner, Ria Piecha. Her appearances at the commission were widely criticised as arrogant and evasive.
I will repeat the question that the answer that I gave yesterday.
That's not very clear to me.
She claims she can't remember the critical meeting of top police commanders the night before the massacre, during which they decided to take action.
The police decided on that Thursday to roll out barbed wire. This is known as a tactical encirclement strategy, and officers were briefed with what internal reports would later describe as offensive strategy.
Xa ifika pha yaphela straight ne-hippie bipha yesibini yafika nale yadonga la raise wire yehla nayo kuya phansi sithe mayipha phansi xa cabi yapha ngesibayeni sathi no Siyavaleka. Comrade, masihambe.
Now, an ordinary South Africa would question why would you use an offensive strategy against ordinary citizens. Given they were armed with pangas, but these are things that can be easily disarmed at close quarter combat. At 1540, the South African police services opened fire on the miners. Some of them were charging, but many were retreating. It lasted less than 10 minutes, but 34 lives were lost.
Miners who had for days been protesting for better wages were suddenly confronted by hundreds of armed police. 34 miners were killed. Not a single officer was injured, but police insist they acted in self-defense. Evidence against the police appears to be damning. 4 mortuary vans were ordered to Marikana hours before the shooting, as well as 4,000 extra rounds of ammunition. Most of the miners killed were shot in the back or in the head, some in the back of the head. Some victims appear to have been handcuffed. Others had weapons planted on them. Despite these horrific details, at a police gathering just 2 days after the massacre, Commissioner Paycheck praised her team.
Whatever happened represents the best of responsible policing. I want to be unpolice-like. I want you to actually applaud yourself.
The second site, or scene 2, as it's referred to in the Farnham Commission, is where the police rounded up and executed some of the miners in cold blood.
It's here, a few hundred meters away from the media, and crucially, out of sight of their cameras, where most of the miners actually died. The men had fled here after the initial shooting, seeking sanctuary. In one part of the footage, an officer from the tactical response team, made up of crack police marksmen, calls for restraint. There's a miner on the move nearby.
Wait, don't shoot him, don't shoot him!
But gunfire rings out. Moments later, the policeman moves over to where a man lies motionless. Just audible, an officer boasts how he took the man down. The young man was later identified as 26-year-old Tabile Mpumza. He was shot 12 times. They head into a cluster of rocks known in Afrikaans as a koppie. It's since been dubbed the killing koppie because it's here that most of the miners died. As the policemen walk on, they talk about how the miner was finished off and boast about their prowess with weapons. Between the rocks, several of the miners lie dead. Survivors told us they fled here, hoping to take shelter.
Inhumane actions from the police, if you ask me. This is not the way to treat ordinary citizens. And there were allegations of traditional firearms being held by the miners. However, forensic evidence of that remains slim. Paycheck's public address praised the officers for measured response. I question how, because there were 34 lives lost. Yet under the Farnham microscope, her credibility frayed. She failed to justify why the operation had went on or proceeded on that specific day, despite that there was evidence, credible evidence, that the situation had stabilized. Zukiswa Mbombo's recorded meetings revealed plans to end the strike before AMCU or AMCU President Joseph Mathunjwa was scheduled to return to mediate. Now, when she was asked for her reasoning, she stated, "We have a political problem and this is a test of state authority."
Remember that we said our intention is to disarm the people, and also our intention is to make sure the people that they leave that illegal gathering area where they are, and that is what we will do today. And I said to you, we wish that we will do that still amicable, meaning we will ask them to leave. But then I don't want to explain to you if they don't, what then. What I told you is today we are ending this matter.
We have statements from the National Commissioner and the Provincial Commissioner which make clear that the night before, the Provincial Commissioner had informed the National Commissioner that if SAPS could not persuade the strikers to lay down their weapons and leave the Kopi by negotiations, she would issue an instruction for the strikers to be dispersed. After deliberations, the meeting endorsed the proposal to disarm the protesting masses and further indicated that additional resources must be made available upon needs identification by the Provincial Commissioner Northwest.
Many of you will ask, who is Joseph Mathunjwa and why did he seem that he could negotiate between these parties?
AMCU's leader, Joseph Mathunjwa, like Ramaphosa 20 years before him, is fighting the system and believes NUM has become far too close to mine management and government. He soon becomes an important player in the unfolding events at Marikana.
Comrade, when we voted 1994, we thought that the working class is liberated. The only thing that we benefited is to change the administration which was run by the white collar. Then is our challenge now, ukuthi thina masesibona ukuthi sesizoyithola inkululeko sizobona ngokushintsha isystem.
We'll see Dr. Mathunjwa go towards the miners and beg and plead with them to come off the mountain and disarm. Unfortunately, the miners did not want to, and I ask again, is there no other means that the police could have used?
No, what we simply say, you can come with your Nyala, but we'll just walk. On our own, we just go and talk to them. No.
The general decision was no.
I mean, these are human beings. These are human beings. Sithemba simxelela kumqashi kuba uma abasebenzi bazawufinyelela ukuya empangelweni lezi khalo zabo okanye lezinto ezitya umusi uzawuthethisana nenyunyani yabo nangestructure sabo abasikhethileyo de ukuba lezinto nizifunayo zifinyeleleke kuzo.
He made headway, and the strikers came to him and said, look, it's late in the day, it's getting dark. What we'd like you to do is to come back at 9 o'clock in the morning. But more significantly, he was telling them that if they were to leave the mountain, then management would address their grievances. In other words, they'll at least speak to them.
With all their training, with all their tactical planning, was there nothing else that could have been done besides brutally take lives of black men, black breadwinners, black fathers, sons, grandsons, uncles? Unfortunately, under Ria Pierre's rule, there was no such.
Enzekayo abantu babethi kwexesha baxhome izandla bacela uxolo badutyulwe.
We know from the examination of the scene by forensic officers that, for example, they found cartridges on tops of the rocks. We know that they found dead bodies at the bottom of the rocks. Now, I would conclude there's a strong possibility that officers stood and shot people who were at the bottom of the rock. I mean, you're talking at a distance of perhaps only 2, 3, 4 meters.
The police seemed to stick to their self-defense story. They kept repeating the same thing, even though it was blindingly obvious, and you had dozens of witnesses talking about people trying to surrender, being killed, repeatedly shot as they were trying to surrender, not just once, coming up 2, 3 times with their hands, shot repeatedly.
In the days following the massacre, Lonmin resumed operations. It was business as per usual. The families buried their dead, the children were left without breadwinners. Yet no one from the police service was convicted. Lonmin never paid full repatriations, nor did it deliver on its housing commitments. The Farnham Commission recommended reforms, but here we stand, 13 years later, commemorating this day, and many of those promises remain unfulfilled. What is justice when our people continue to lose their life but nothing changes about the standard of quality? Our lives are expendable. We are but just another number on the system. Marikana didn't just reveal a tragedy, it revealed a system where profits dwarf people, where unions that are supposed to bring people together and represent them actually break the society fabric. And this is where and how they showed us that megawards or these mining multinational companies, they don't really care about the black lives, whether they're rural, black, or immigrant. These are all lives that are expendable to them. But to those who died in Marikana on that fateful Thursday, they weren't nameless. They were fathers, sons, providers, and fighters. And their blood is not forgotten. It can never be. This has been Mii Kasi Su Kasii. May we never forget the blood that continues to nurture the tree of liberation. Salute.
I am in tranquility. I am in simplicity. I'm the measure of infinity. Yeah. I am in tranquility. I live in simplicity. I'm the measure of infinity. Yeah. Light the blood and feel the breeze. Lost